Julien Timber and Declan Rice have been confirmed as the latest Arsenal signings of this week. A very, very active summer for Arsenal so far, getting a lot of transfer work done early on in the window. Seems very promising. Milo, what are your thoughts and feelings on the signings and the work being done by Arsenal so far?
Well, let's start with Timber.
Sure.
And 22 years old, right centre back / right back. I got some info on him that I want to share with you guys, and then I'd really like to get your thoughts on where you see him. So obviously we know Ajax produces a lot of talent, always have, hopefully always will, because they just bring players to the Premier League that seem to do well. His stock dropped off a bit. I feel like a few years ago, not many, obviously 2-3 years ago, I feel like Julien Timber, people were talking about him like the next big thing at Ajax. I feel like his stock dropped a little bit. I have no reason for that I can see, but yeah, I mean, last season he played the most games so far in a league season in just over 33 games. He, for defenders in the Dutch league, top in passes per game and pass success rate. So it indicates he's a ball-playing defender. No secret that Arteta likes ball-playing defenders, so I think he'll really fit in well with what he's trying to do there. I will say this, like Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, they all had slightly lower passing stats. Now I realize we're talking Premier League versus Dutch league, and I'll get into that a little bit later in this sort of blurb that I'm talking about. But yeah, so I mean he should be a good fit offensively. I think ball playing, passing stats great. His passing stats, in fact, were even better than Thomas Partey's as well, who obviously plays DMF just in front of the defense, ideally. Defensively, interceptions and tackles stand out the most, but he's not in the highest percentile for centre backs in the Dutch league last season, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't watch a ton of Ajax games, so for me it was kind of fun reading through some of the stats from the last couple of seasons on him. Offensively, again, he's in the highest percentile for centre backs, but defensively he's not. So that slight concern may be there for me. Conclusion for me really was, on the ball he's going to fit the system really well. Defensively, we're going to have to see. The other factor, as I said before, is the difference between the Dutch league and the Premier League. So what I did is I went and had a look and at a list of basically players that move from the Dutch league directly to the Premier League. So no clubs in between, no stops in Italy or Spain or anything, just from the Dutch league straight to the Premier League. Most successful, obviously I'm not going to list them all because we'll be here all night. Ruud van Nistelrooy, cultured. I thought you'd be happy that Ruud is the first name that jumped out on the list. Arjen Robben, Luis Suarez, obviously. RVP eventually became really good. I think he took a little while to get going, but he did obviously end with a bang. Dirk Kuyt, from me, gets an honorable mention because he was just a real workhorse for Liverpool. Jaap Stam, another one for you United fans, obviously. Mark Overmars, as we start to going back in time, as you can see on my list. So it isn't always a success story. Memphis Depay jumps out as one that struggled. Stefan Bergwijn, Ricky Van Wolfswinkel. I just wanted to say that name, honestly. But yeah, overall, really, really solid signing. I'm very happy about it. I think he's an upgrade on Holding, no matter how he plays defensively. And I think he could compete for a starting berth. So what do you guys think?
Go on, Kat.
Yeah, United was linked to this guy pre-World Cup, big time. Like, we were looking at that right-sided defender position, which Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot have now, but there was strong links to him. So I had done a little bit of research on him last summer, and yeah, he looks really nice. Obviously, we've signed Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot on long-term deals, so that's not happening because we don't have money either. But I think he is this perfect modern center back. We were kind of talking about it with Pep in his 3-2-4-1 formation, where he can play on a fullback, he can play on a center back, and he can even play false fullback, which he's mentioned. So I think he's a perfect modern center back for Arsenal. I think it's a great signing for Arsenal. I think it's such a good depth signing for those. He kind of has that Ben White feel, Tomiyasu feel. Seems like they have these really good depth now at Arsenal, and I personally think he's better than Gabriel Magalhaes. I don't know how to say his last name, but I think Ben White's better than Gabriel, and I think Julien Timber is better than Gabriel, and that's something I mentioned towards the end of the season. I think and how Arsenal need to not be comfortable with the starting 11 they have. They need to be unafraid to be like, look, you guys did really well to get second, but we're gonna make upgrades, And Gabriel, to me, he's a weak point in that team that could be improved, and I think Timber will provide that in certain games. I don't know. Cultured, I don't know if you got any thoughts about that one.
Very similar, actually. I think it's interesting that United were so heavily linked to him before, and then it went quiet. And I think Arsenal have signed a fantastic player. I think he's going to be. I think he doesn't quite walk into the starting 11, but he keeps everyone else on their toes. A centre back, he can play centre back, right back. He keeps those players. It gives, Milo's gone on for a while about depth. This gives them depth in defence, and I think it could allow Ben White to go back to centre back, and you'll see Timber more as a right back potentially. And then you have that rotation option between Tomiyasu, Timber, and Ben White, depending on who you're coming up against, what you need your defenders to do, and if you're playing that's going to sit back and not do very much, you can have Timber playing at centre back because he's going to pass the ball out and bring the ball out, and then have maybe Ben White at right back for a bit more height, because those teams that sit back generally have taller players for set pieces and things like that, and it gives you that ability to mix it up. Or you bring in Gabriel and you put Timber at right back because he really likes to dribble with the ball, which is one of the stats that I've seen when I looked into him. I just think it makes Arsenal stronger, and that's all they need, right? It's sort of like, I don't know if I could pinpoint Gabriel as a weak point in our Arsenal defence. I don't know. I still think Ben White is a better centre-back than a right-back. And I think if you get more options to give a rotation across those positions, it's beneficial for the team. And I think Arsenal they've gone out, they've signed players early in the window, they've signed relatively young players. It's a lot of money they've spent on the players, but my point is always, it's not my money. If that's what they think the manager needs to make that team better, go out and get it. Like, they're supporting the manager, they're backing the manager, and
we've been asking for it for years, and we're seeing it.
Yeah,
exactly. And it gives you that depth. It gives you that ability to push and go further. And I don't think Arsenal are going to win the league, but I think they'll be there or thereabouts, challenging Man City. Again, I think it'll be a little bit closer between the other teams and Arsenal to challenging Man City, but I think it puts Arsenal in such a good position to show that they appreciate what Arteta's done, and they're going out and getting squad depth and players with really good ability who have shone on a world stage and stuff. Yeah. And also, weirdly, the World Cup wasn't in the summer; it was at Christmas. It's really strange, isn't it? Think about that.
Yeah.
So,
I think. You made a good point. I think Arteta really likes Ben White on that right-hand side, so it'll be interesting. But I think one of the reasons we suffered with when Saliba got hurt is we couldn't bring Ben White back into centre-back because Tomiyasu was hurt. So now we have that cover, right? If anything, I'd be more worried about the left side being exposed if Zinchenko and Tierney both had issues. You know what I mean? But you can't have everything. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got right now we have a number of defenders. I still think maybe Holding will go, but he's on the tour in America and looked pretty happy in the footage I saw. So, I mean, maybe he's staying.
Yeah. About Timber, the story was Van Gaal said if he goes to United, he won't get picked in the Netherlands squad. Right? That's when we were trying to sign him. So there was talk of him maybe coming in January, but obviously that didn't happen. One thing I do think is, Cultured, you were talking about depending on what they need against the opponent, they have options, right? I think Gabriel provides an aerial defense, right? He has probably the aerial. Him and Saliba are probably the best in the air. So if they're playing, long ball Newcastle or something, with a big big center forward up there, maybe that'll be a situation where Gabriel does start the game. But games where they're going to be in possession on the ground, the A team, if you will, then Timber on the ball would probably be the option to go there.
I think he has to win his spot,
right?
But it wouldn't surprise me if he did. I'm not as hard on Gabriel as you two are being. I mean, Culture was less so. Cartwheel went straight in on him, but like Gabriel was actually really, really solid and probably had his best outings in an Arsenal shirt up until Saliba's injury. And I said to you guys in the following games after that, you could see his confidence dropped because he was playing next to Holding. I feel like he's one of those players, and I said it to you then, I think he's one of those players that plays better with better people around him.
Yeah.
I think it's just the depth of rotation options now. I think even if you had Zinchenko and Tierney injured at the same time, Tomiyasu goes to left back, and if you've got all three of those players injured at the same time, that's just very, very unlucky. So
yeah. Apparently he's got a brother as well.
So yeah.
Quinton Timber, I think his name is, his brother. Apparently his brother is even better than him, apparently.
What's the chant going to be?
All Arsenal fans as well.
Is this going to be the Katy Perry song? The Timber song?
No. It's got to be Kesha, right? Kesha and Pitbull.
Oh, is it Kesha? Is that the song? I don't know who sings it.
He's going Timber.
Down. Yeah.
Timber.
Yeah,
I mean, it writes itself. So.
Oh my god. We briefly talked. I briefly mentioned this off stream or on stream. Chants, man. It's just like it's a cultural thing for me. Like as you know, Milo, you're not a big fan of the MLS chants. And I'm with you there. I'm with you. But that's coming from my perspective. Don't even try the chants. If it's not in your culture to do the chants, don't do the chants. Leave the chants to the Europeans who they know how to do chants. I don't know.
You should hear the Whitecaps ones. They are just awful.
Anyways,
they are really bad.
Let's talk about the other signing for you guys before we get into some looks at potential lineups. Declan Rice, the number one, or was it the most expensive English transfer or something?
Sure.
Yeah.
English player. Yeah.
Declan.
Yep. Declan Rice. This signing is my favorite. I don't think that should be a surprise. This is my favorite signing of the summer. We've talked about the money. We talked about the fee in the last couple of episodes of the show. So I'm not really that bothered about revisiting it, but we can. It is an expensive fee, but we've been talking for so long about Arsenal not putting up the cash, not doing it time after time and missing out on their targets. Well, you know what? They didn't miss out on the target this time. They wanted Declan Rice. They got it done. Not quick enough for Twitter and social media, who just berated the deal from the minute it was even first mentioned until the day he was shown in an Arsenal shirt. But, there you go. There's social media for you. No, really pumped about Rice, and I think a lot of people would be. I'm keen to get your guys' thoughts on the player himself, not the deal, at the end of this. But, obviously, great DMF. Interceptions, composure, ball winning. He's a leader, obviously captain at West Ham. Defensively, big upgrade on Thomas Partey. I've got a few stats for you. Cart, if you want to punch some stats up on the screen, you can. Now, these stats are taken from Google. So I do have backup stats, which are basically from FBref, so they're probably more accurate. But yeah, it's a versus Partey there. I mean, I actually did a breakdown on some of these stats. I went fishing after seeing this screenshot. He's 42 tackles compared to 29 for Partey. Like challenges to players, taking them on and dribbling. Rice has 38 to Partey's 18. 45 blocks to 22. It just goes on and on. If you look on there, per minute, Partey has more tackles, but obviously he played a lot less games than Rice last season, so you have to factor that in. Passing accuracy, I was surprised to see Declan's was higher, especially as he's played more games, and Declan Rice isn't necessarily known for that, but it's a part of his game that he's really, really worked on and improved upon, which I have some stats to back that up as well. Ball recoveries, not surprised to see that more, and that assist stat is actually off, so maybe that screenshot was a little bit off. But yeah, I mean, offensively, Partey edges him according to the stats, right? but Rice comfortably the better ball carrier if you go deep dive into these stats. So when he's on the ball, almost more of a deep line playmaker, and like he doubled Partey's touches for in the defensive, the mid, and the attacking thirds of the field. In all three of those, he almost doubled them. And again, I realized that he played more games than him because Partey missed 12 games, I think. So you do have to take that into account when you're comparing the two players, specifically for last season. But, you know, this is the player that Rice is coming in to replace. And I can't help but be, you know, it's not wildly different in the stats, but it's different enough from me that I think it's an upgrade. And I'm keen to get your thoughts on that. His main duties are going to be defending, right? I don't think any player in the Arsenal team, apart from the centre backs, really can help but sometimes get caught up in that attack, just the way that it transitions and moves. So if Declan Rice is staying back a little more than Thomas Partey, I think, you know, it's going to help us out. It's going to help us out in transition. And some of the games that we lost last year were turning the ball over. And that fast counter-attack transition play is really where we suffered. If Partey stays, which is an unknown at this point, he's still rumored to be leaving, then it could be handy to have them both as an option. If you want to show...
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Or the lineup or the other stats?
Yeah, sorry, something in my throat there.
No worries.
Sorry about it. I just had to have a sip of water. Terrible timing. Excuse me. Yeah, if you want to show the lineup, Cart, that'd be great.
Yeah. This one here.
Yeah, so you got... this would just be your sort of basic... I think that's how we'll start a lot of games next season. If you show the alternate lineup as well to this, I don't think there's any surprises here. But yeah, so, I mean... In possession, 3 at the back. Zinchenko could drop in there. I mean, Partey. Again, it gives you options, right? It's what you talked about. It's depth, it's options, all of the above. I can't help but be enthused about this on every level. The deeper I looked into his statistics, and I'm not usually, I know I deep dived on stats a bit there. Usually I don't go in that heavy on stats, but you know, I wanted to really dig deep and see what's made Declan tick. And I think he ticks all the boxes that we need in that position. What do you guys think?
I think he's going to take Arsenal to the next sort of level in midfield. He's clearly an upgrade on Partey, he's an upgrade on Xhaka in those sort of roles. And I think he's going to up his game to another level. I think you can sort of see him in a West Ham team. He's very limited in what he's able to do. I'm not saying it's David Moyes or the way David Moyes plays is limiting what he can do, but Declan Rice is purely there to defend, win the ball back and launch counter-attacks up to Mikel Antonio and Jared Bowen, basically. I think in this Arsenal team where it's a little bit more controlled, they'll get more of the ball. I think Declan Rice goes through a couple more gears. You see him be much more offensively aware. What he can do with the ball offensively, I think, will come shining through. I think he does it. He does more of what I'm expecting him to do at Arsenal for England than he's ever done at West Ham. In England, I always feel like Declan Rice is, yes, he's primarily there as a holding midfielder, but he has a bit more freedom to go and do some attacking things when he's on the ball. It's a bit like you were saying, Milo. It's that anyone other than the centre-backs gets caught up in just doing the attacking transitions because it's just the way Arsenal are going to be playing next year. And I think it's good. I'm excited to see from a England fan point of view what it can show Declan Rice can do in a bit more of an expansive team and not playing for West Ham. Yeah, it's a great signing. It's a really good signing.
Could you go back one slide? Because I think that is like the one you've got on screen right now is kind of alternate. I don't think that will be the norm. I think this will be more of the norm, personally.
Yeah. That's what I think it will be. I think that'll be more of the norm. I think Zinchenko plays as that sort of left back / centre mid. It goes to a back 3 when you're attacking, and you have Rice and Zinchenko in there and letting the front 5 go and do what they do, basically. And I think Rice will push up a bit more, be a bit as I said, a bit more expressive with his attacking play than he's done at West Ham. And I think the most important thing is it's clearly an upgrade on Xhaka and Partey. And Xhaka's left, Partey might be going, and that's what you needed at Arsenal. It's a great sign. Taking away the money, because I do think it's a very expensive transfer, it's a great signing. It's a great player. It's what Arsenal need. And there's, like you said, right, you can't look past that. It's been asking for years to just spend the money, and you've done it, and you've got a great player. So
for me, the question mark in the team now is Havertz. If you look at that lineup, that's my question mark, right? I want to see how does that unfold. Obviously, I want to get Cart's thoughts on Rice. Culture, one of the points you made, I noted down and bolded because I thought one of you might say it. At West Ham, I feel like Rice was relied upon to do a lot, right? At times, maybe even carrying the team. That shouldn't be the case here. So hopefully the players around him and where we're at allows him to be more expressive and just let his attributes shine through.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much agree with you guys on everything. Great signing. This is the exact, I grew up in a time, I followed Arsenal during a time where this was the type of signing they desperately needed. This type of strength steel, backbone to the spine of the team. Also very young. I was listening to some people talk about it. They were likening it to a Tony Adams, Vieira-esque presence in the defensive area of the field. And another person said this could be like a Dennis Bergkamp effect, where he is really going to bring the entire team together and really help gel things. Ten Hag, I'm a United fan. I'm going to mention Ten Hag. He always mentioned Casemiro being the cement between the bricks. And I think Declan Rice is going to be that for Arsenal. And to your point, Milo, you mentioned where's Havertz going to fit. To me, it's interesting, right? Depending on what happens with Partey, I could see Declan Rice playing the Xhaka role that Xhaka played last season, that kind of box-to-box 8, defensively sound, getting in and around the box. He's done it for West Ham when West Ham have been on the front foot. He does like to get forward, though you would suspect that if Havertz and Odegaard both play, I could see even Odegaard dropping back to that 8 position and Rice being that anchor man deep lying. So he can really fill in a lot of gaps, and especially with the new, he could almost do the John Stones role that John Stones does for Man City, where he can kind of drop back into the defensive line as well and pop into midfield and allow just that 4 kind of center back feeling defense for Arsenal as well. I mean, just besides the price or whatever, it is what it is. But I think this is the type of signing that is gonna do wonders for Arsenal. Great signing, great signing.
I've no doubt. Again, because of the way we attack and his tendency to do that for West Ham, I think he will run forward at times. Partey was able to do it as well, but I think Rice just does a bit more work defensively. So maybe he's better at, and I don't know, because I'd have to really, that's not really something you can find stat-wise. Maybe Rice has better understanding of when to push and when not to push, stuff like that makes him better defensively. But his defensive stats, as I rattled them off at the start of this segment, they're all really good, especially compared to his sort of direct replacement. In total, like 322 ball recoveries in the season is a really high stat. I believe I did see a slide that had, I believe that was the most for his position in the Premier League last season. So, I mean, look, I think it's great. I would like us to keep Partey as well, because I think if Partey goes, we have to sign another good centre midfielder. Even if I think Declan Rice is better, you need depth, right? We've talked about it before. Like, there's no, if we sign him and then we have no depth again, once Declan Rice is out, we're back to El Neni.
Right now it's El Neni, Rice, Partey, Lokonga. I don't know if Lokonga is staying with you guys, but
I mean, no news on Lokonga, and then obviously you got some youngsters that may get a chance this season as well. So
Okay. Yeah, that was going to be my question. Are there any kids coming through the ranks?
There are, yeah.
There are. Okay.
I think Arsenal have done a good signing when nearly every single football fan that you speak to has said, other than the price, they've got a quality player. Like you look like when Man United signed Casemiro, there was lots of fans from rival clubs going, "Oh, he's past it. He's coming for one final paycheck. He's doing this. He's a good player, but is he still the best? He's been carried by Modric and Kroos and things like that." Whereas Arsenal signing Rice, the only thing you can say is they may have overpaid a little bit with 105 million. He's a quality footballer. There's none of that. I haven't heard one person say it's not going to work. And I think that's testament to the player.
How about this? If he was lifting the Premier League trophy next May, would you then say he was worth every penny?
Oh, obviously, yeah. I'm not. It's a statement of the times. I don't. As I said, it's not my money. It's not your money, Milo.
No, I've been through a phase where I was like, well, let's not overspend. Like Mudryk, think of it this way: the money we saved on Mudryk, we didn't even have to put anywhere near enough on top of what we wanted to pay for Declan to get Declan. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
Like we were prepared to spend X on Mudryk because that's what we thought he was worth and bring to the team. Seems like an astute move right now to say, you know what, we'll walk away from that and we'll put that money towards Declan Rice. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, the price is high, but it is what it is. It's a statement of intent, right? It's a statement of intent. Even the Havertz. I mean, we talked a bit about the Havertz one. I think that's going to be has the most question marks about it, the Havertz deal. But Rice and Timber are very straightforward upgrades. I really think you definitely got to keep. I think if you can keep hold of Partey, then I think you guys are looking really good. If you get rid of Partey, the replacement's going to be very important. Maybe Romeo Lavia or somebody, I don't know, could be a good replacement. But yeah, you want to talk title chances? Wenger came out with some strong words. He says, what did he say? He says, we're going to win the title. We're going to win the Premier League title. I think you guys got one hand on the title.
He has belief. That's great. I mean, that's like your granddad saying, like, I think you can win. I think you can win that promotion. You know what I mean? It's that kind of feel to it. You love it, don't you? Thanks, granddad.
Thanks for believing in me, granddad. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just that's what it is to me now. Obviously, club hero, legend, all the rest of it. But right now, it's like your granddad saying, you can do it.